Hi, fellow sharpeners. Todd Benko here from Calgary, Alberta. Such a pleasure to be part of the Sharpeners Jam sessions, and looking forward to all the other ideas that come across the stage and through the different presentations. I've often had a situation where I'm working in a salon and I'm doing shears, and stylists will turn around and also bring in knives. So I've got my flat home. The situation is, how am I going to turn around and sharpen them? Well, I think the flat hone is an excellent tool for sharpening knives. And I love my Simek just for that reason, because I can turn around and use it both in the front position, but for sharpening knives, I needed to find a way to have a consistent angle. And I do have the Work Sharp tool that gives you a beautiful rest that you turn around and take your knife, you set it down on a known angle, and then you turn around and you work that. And I really like that system because, with different knives, you want different angles, just like what we do with the shears, different angles for different knife purposes. So how do we maintain a consistent angle? Well, the answer to me was really obvious when I got my Work Sharp knife system, and that is that you get muscle memory of just remembering one angle. So on that one, you measure 0 degrees, and then you adjust the system, the belt, to give you the angle that you want. If you want 15 degrees, you set it for 15. If you want 25, 30 degrees, you set it to 25, 30 degrees. So I got to thinking, how do I take that approach and apply it to my Simek? I came up with a solution, and this is where my idea comes from. How do I bridge and make my flat hone a great knife sharpening system? There are 3 things that I needed. The idea is, let me first of all talk about what the problem was first. So if I turn around and put my Simek, so my Simek can turn around and I go into a vertical position, which is not a problem. And I turn around and take the blade back, and that's great. And I can turn around and still, my arm and that type of stuff, I can still set it up on top. So I don't have to dismantle anything. I can still just leave everything in place for doing my knife sharpening. And the whole problem is that if I'm turn around and set my knife down here, I have to turn around and try to figure out what angle do I want to be at for my knife. And especially for the knife's purpose, that, like if I'm going to do a paring knife, I want to be somewhere around 15 degrees. Off the horizontal, not off the vertical, like the American standard is for the scissors. So how can I set that angle? And then it sort of dawned on me. It says, well, if I can turn around and be able to set my knife at a given fixed angle, I just have to tilt the Simek, my flat hone. And that came up with 2 great solutions for this. In many of the construction stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, that type of stuff, they have these wonderful devices. And that is a bag for lifting things up. And if you turn around and pump them up, they expand. And their whole purpose is to lift, like windows, that type of stuff, up to a height that it'll hold the weight. They do hold a fair amount of weight to them, and it positions it exactly where you want it positioned so that you can control and do the height or work the material that is at the height that you want to work at. When you're done, just let the air out and it goes back down. So that was the first thing that I needed. And then what I do with that is I tuck it in underneath the bottom of my Simek. So once I've got it in there, everything is all still nice and flat. So that's the first part. The next part is I said, okay, how do I turn around and get a reference angle? And the idea sort of came to me is that with the other ones, what's my lowest angle? What's my minimum zero angle going to be? And that's typically going to be on like paring knives and that type of stuff. So these type of things, or fine Japanese knives. My lowest angle is typically going to be 15 degrees. So I need actually to make this 15 degrees. So taking the same approach from Worksharp, sort of taking the idea, how do I make a surface? And I just turned around and came up with a block of wood. So with this guy here, I cut the angle at my minimum angle, so 15 degrees. And I turned around and created a little notch. I had to create a little notch in the bottom here so that my feet that are on the bottom, which is normally my position, I can turn around and put this down on my Simac here. And now you can see I have a resting spot that establishes my 15 degrees. So now I can turn around and lay my blade in, and eventually with time, what ends up happening is this becomes muscle memory. I turn around, take this angle. I only need to remember one angle. I have to develop muscle memory for only one angle, 15 degrees. I take that, take it up, and transfer it. So if I'm with my Simac like this, and depending on which side you're working on, you always want to make sure that it's going the right direction. So best is to feel it. I set my angle on my block. I'm at 15 degrees. I transfer it up. If I have a question of whether or not I'm still at the same angle, I can come back down. As long as I match up the same thing, I'm not tilted. It's my way of validating I'm still maintaining my same angle. So I might turn around and do that a couple of times. Now, one of the things is when I'm usually working this, I like to be standing. I like to work over top of my equipment, but it just makes it a little bit hard to showcase this in a video. So if I turn around and switch to my other one, I'll do a couple of those. Same approach. I just take my left hand and still use my same situation, change my direction, set my angle, and a lot of times what I find is if I put my thumb along the spine, that angle here on the back of my thumb and my wrist is what I can really control as if my wrist is tilted or such. But by doing it this way, if I just grip it like this, I've got no reference as to what angle. But the minute you turn around and have something out like a thumb or some aspect, I can take that, bring that back up, and I've got my angle. And as long as I lock my whole arm, my whole wrist, I'm going to maintain that angle. And I'm going to do that as I work up through my different edges, my different grits to get me a burr. Once I've got my burr, then I turn around and either go to the finer grit and work my way up till it's done. So that's all said and done. That's for 15 degrees. So now the magic comes in. How do I get to something that might be more of a chef's knife that I want something like a 20 or 25 degrees? Well, this is the third piece of equipment that I had to turn around and find a solution for. And that is that came up and found these little electronic levelers. So if I turn around and put that on there, I'll look at that and it's basically 0 degrees. Doesn't matter what the number is because I just need it to be a reference. It's a relative. I could zero that out, but 0.4 is pretty close to 0. So let's say this knife, I now want at 25 degrees on each angle off of the horizontal. So it's 25 on this side, it's 25 on this side. Well, I just remember the pillow that I put underneath the backside. I turn around and pump that up now until I get to what angle. I want a 25 degrees. My initial starting angle of my block was 15. So I want to shoot for 10 degrees. And I went a little too far. So just lower that back down. And the thing about this block is I have this set up where it's magnetically attached to the side. But the key to it is this goes on the base of my workbench. So now this is always my workbench. The angle here is relative to the starting point. And if I showcase this again, see if I can tilt this around so you can see. Just need a little bit more angle here. And what I did here is I actually took a magnet out of a hard drive and I epoxied into the side here so that I can turn around and actually hold it in place. I push it down and now it's parallel to the table. This is still my 15 degrees plus my 10 degree tilt gives me 25 degrees. And I'm still at 10.2. So again, I'm doing the same thing. Nothing has changed for my approach, for my muscle memory. I'm still setting 15 degrees for holding the blade. When I bring it up to the surface of the flat hone, I'm now at 25 degree angle. And it's just so much easier because my mechanics, once you get to repeating it over and over and over, nothing changes for you. The whole thing is make the equipment change to what you're trying to achieve, rather than you changing everything and you're never getting anything consistent. So in this situation, again, make sure that it's going away from you. If I'm going to do from my right hand, I set my 15 degrees here. I've got my 10 degrees extra, so I'm at 25 degrees. And I can go ahead and if I have any question whether or not I'm maintaining the same angle, I'll just come back down and validate. Yep, I'm still there. I'm still at my same angles. My wrist has not changed. I locked it in place. I'd be searching for my burr that I want at that side, or I'm just going to do a certain number on one side, do a certain number on the other side. So if I want to do my other side, I'm going to stop it, get it going the other way. Again, lock my wrist in, bring it back up. Feel my burr, see where I've got my burr coming up, and then I can turn around and do the other side. Always make the habit touching the surface, make sure it's going in the right direction before you put your knife on the edge. It becomes such an easy way to do it because you're only remembering one muscle angle. The other thing that I really like about the Cymac for this is that my guard still stays in place. If I'm working in the salon and, knives, we might end up pulling a lot more metal off doing a knife than we will doing a set of shears. So the chances are of spreading more metal into the air, into the area, that type of stuff. I still want to try to keep it contained. I'm not spreading it all over the place. So as you can see, my guard still stays in place. It's all around. As I'm working this, my filings are still being captured in the cage of the Cymac. I don't have to actually take it right off. So I find that this is a great solution and gives me one piece of equipment that now has provides me the ability to sharpen two sets of equipment, knives and shears, to a high level of a high quality level. And it doesn't matter because I can turn around, and if I've got something that's, you know, a really fine edge, I can adjust my situation. If I want to go back to my, another paring knife, well, it's just as simple as that. I have to come back and reset, lower my bottom edge. That magnet does hold on to there quite well. And I just make sure it's flattened back down, get my 15 degrees, and I'm back again. If I'm changing my my sandpaper, I'm going from, it might be a really bad system of 100, 200, 220 grit, and then I'm going up to 400, 800, 1,000, 2,000 if I really want to get a polished edge. So it really allows me the flexibility of and adapting to give whatever surface, whatever edge I need. And like I said, I find it's a lot easier when I'm doing this to be standing, but I just am showcasing this sitting so that it's a lot easier for you to see both sides, and I'm not changing the whole scale of relative to where I am. So that's my idea, what I've been finding and what my ideas that I care to share with you. Again, the 3 items that I did to this, and just another thought just came to mind. I turned around and sharpened a knife, and I got my 3 items here, and just like that, quickly turn around. Another stylist comes up with another set of shears, and I'm back to doing shears. I just love this thing for this. So my 3 things that I end up getting to adapt this was this windbag, pump it up, construction pillow, the various, this is called a Wixie digital angle gauge, and these ones, like the windbag I got at Home Depot, the Wixie I got at Busy Bee Tools, and then my 15 degree, I set my 15 degrees because that's what my lowest angle is going to be, and I just put it on a block of wood, embedded a magnet in here, and it just sticks to my side of my Sinek. And like I said, I just moved this out of the way. All it's doing is just holding on there, and I just fold it down and put the base back down onto my table. That's how I get my reference angle. So that's my idea. I hope you like it. I hope it may give you an idea or consideration how you might use it if you want to sharpen knives with your flat hone. Thanks again.